So, um, if you're listening to this right now, chances are you've already read something today. A text message, maybe an email. We treat it like it's, I don't know, effortless, natural. But let's unpack this for a second, because that simple act, it's activating brain circuits that took millennia to even develop.
Yeah, and that's the big misconception we have to fight, right? That
Mm.
reading is natural. Your brain is, well, it's born ready to see and hear and speak, but reading, no. Evolutionarily, there just hasn't been enough time. So to build that reading network, the brain has to essentially perform a sort of hostile takeover. It co-ops parts that were already there for vision, for language, attention, even emotion, and figuring out how it does that. I mean, that's our mission today.
That concept of a brain hack is so interesting, and you can see it in history, can't you? I mean, you look at the earliest systems like Sumerian cuneiform, maybe 3300 BC, or Egyptian hieroglyphics, you realize how long the brain has been adapting to this new trick.
Oh, it's a huge adaptation. And it's not a small part of the brain either. Reading is a whole brain process. It lights up all four lobes of the cortex. It physically alters your brain's activity, its structure, even its connectivity. But here's where it gets really cool. The kind of language you read that determines the precise way your brain gets shaped.
I found this part stunning. So if you're reading an alphabet-based system like English, where the letters are basically sounds, your brain handles that one way. But if you're reading a logographic system like Chinese, where a symbol is a whole idea, that's a completely different mechanism.
A completely different mechanism.
Right.
Exactly. Logographic systems rely so much more on visual memory, on processing these really intricate symbols. And we have incredible proof of this. There was a study of a patient, fluent in both English and Chinese, who had a massive stroke. The stroke damaged the specific visual association areas he needed for those complex symbols. The result, he completely lost the ability to read Chinese. But his English, the sound-based system, that was still intact. The circuitry is literally different depending on the script.
Wow. So the script itself changes the machine, but what I read suggests it goes even further than just cognition. It actually changes how we physically feel. Like when we read about a character's nervousness, we don't just understand it, we feel it physically.
Yes, this is the key to empathy in reading. We're talking about a part of the brain called the anterior insula. This area is responsible for what's called gastromotoric movement. It's the mechanism behind gut feelings. Nausea, discomfort, that knot in your stomach.
Yeah.
Well, researchers found that this same area is also deeply tied to our empathic processes. So when you read fiction, you're firing up the same brain regions as if you were living it. It's like a physical simulation of someone else's life.
The brain is so adaptable, but that adaptability is really being tested now with new media. The typical screen experience is just it's passive scrolling. You're constantly interrupted. It encourages us to just skim.
And that's where the risk comes in. When we just skim, we aren't engaging the deep, critical analysis parts of our brain. And that makes us, frankly, more susceptible to misinformation. If you look at the research on kids, it suggests that high digital exposure from around 8 years old negatively predicts things like attention and executive function. That, in turn, hits their academic performance. It's hard to solve a tough problem when your brain is just waiting for the next stimulus.
That makes so much sense. That's the whole I'm bored feeling, isn't it? The brain just wants quicker and quicker hits of stimulation. Although we should say, it's not all bad. Monitored, education-focused screen time can be great.
Of course, it's all about balance and intentionality. The ability to think critically is what matters.
So what does this all mean for you listening? I think the antidote to this hyper-stimulated world is actually, it's pretty simple. It's about immersing yourself and your kids in a reading life. We have to model that slow, focused behavior.
Absolutely. The power of deep reading is fundamental. It changes our minds, it changes our hearts, and that allows us to build bigger, more beautiful futures. It preserves those vital, critical thinking skills. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this, that your brain is changing based on technology. What specific skills, like that deep, uninterrupted focus, might be at risk if we lose deep reading? And how can you consciously prioritize them in your own day?